shop. This is Orion M2. It's a 1926 Orion. It's the same fuselage they used to build the Spirit of St. Louis. This particular airplane's gone around the country several times. It was owned by Frank Tallman. It was owned by a guy back east. It's serial number 11. It's a real airplane, and the word has it that Charles Lindbergh actually flew this airplane while he was waiting for the Spirit of St. Louis to get built.
And it used to be the mail plane?
That's why, yeah, they use these for mail planes, and that's why I think that this airplane should be restored to flying condition. As you can see in the video, I've replaced a bunch of tubing. The ones that are orange, have orange paint on them, still need to be replaced. Different than the NYP, the Spirit of St. Louis, it has a front door for passengers. It'll have a control stick up there. It already has the rudder pedals. This airplane we know is serial number 11 because it has brakes, which is very rare for back then. And some other things they did with this airplane, there was extra tubing added to it here and there, and in pictures from the factory you can actually see this fuselage, and it's designated serial number 11. Now, these are the ribs that I've already built. See, there's a pretty good pile of them here. All I've got left is the wingtip ribs and the two center section ribs. And I have the spars ready to go, but I'm waiting for warmer weather to do that. This is all the wing hardware. All rebuilt.
Those are very similar to what went on the Spirit.
It's exactly the same as what they used on the Spirit. And it's all built and ready to go, so hopefully next summer I'm going to have a wing built for this airplane.
And what was the difference, John, between the M1 and the M2 with the bracing?
The difference in the M1 and the M2 is these braces right here. They come down. On an M1 it was a diamond-shaped thing, and they welded out here and came up, and it hooked up to a cross tube up here. Well, these top cross tubes have been cut out, and I don't know if it was done at the factory or not yet. I haven't figured that out yet, but it was built with these newer style tubes put in it, which leads me to believe it's a true M2. Besides, the data plate says it's M2.
Lots of structural things that add to the credibility that it is the M2.
Right, and you don't see any pictures of M1s with the doors on the right side of the fuselage.
Right, and you've got the two doors here.
And these are on the right side. So, and then the other difference with the M1 is it had a box type spars in the wings. They were built up like a rectangular box. This has solid spars exactly like the Spirit of St. Louis. 1/2-inch webs with strips of wood on top and bottom to make it an I-beam. This airplane, I'm putting the original J5, right J5 back on it.
But this one does not require the engine greasers because this one can land to be greased.
Right. It's, you know, and it's old and primitive, but that's the way it was, so. This engine right now is just a dummy engine. I'm rebuilding a new one in the back room for it. The rocker boxes aren't on these engines, on this one. The rocker arms fit in boxes that actually go on these studs. And these two studs have nuts and washers on them, and this one has a spring inside the rocker box, so the rocker box can go like this while it's running.
Which is the same as what's going on with the Spirit.
Right. The Spirit's the same way, same engine. That's about all I can tell you about the M2 project at this point. I have a couple other planes I'm going through in this shop right now. 1940 Taylorcraft I'm restoring. I have an Army Jeep I'm rebuilding. It's really not an Army Jeep, it's a CJ2A 1946 that I'm turning into an MB military type Jeep. This airplane is built out of leftover parts I've collected for about 30 years. I call it my floor sweeping airplane. It's a Super-cub look-alike. It has a Champ airfoil ribs on it. It has Super-cub spars in the Ronca airfoil. I've cut the back of the ribs off and made my own ribs to match up with Piper Cub flaps and ailerons. It'll have the military glass in it, full view. My idea was to use this for a chase plane for the Spirit, but I think I'll be done with the Spirit before this is flying. It has an 0290 Lycoming on it. The fuselage started out as a J3. Somebody had robbed the whole lower longerons out of it, and most of the tubes that go up to the top longerons were missing as well. So I reconstructed all of that. Then when I got done, I cut the whole top structure off of it and built it up like a Super-cub, because I don't want the spar going across my forehead, flying it from the front seat. Well, that's about it. Quick look around the shop, that's about how it is. These are my dad's old cars. He died and I bought them from him before he died. 1908 Model T Ford, 1903 Orient buckboard, and a 1911 Ford mother-in-law car.
Commercial roadster.
Yeah.
And then back in the back corner is your grandfather and great-grandfather's collection.
Right.
Except I don't think we can get back there.
It'd be hard to see.
Lots of stuff in the way.
These are all my great-grandpa and grandpa's boat building tools. They used to build gillnet boats. My grandpa had built this boat for
Uncle Doug.
my Uncle Doug, which I have another one he built for my dad in the house.
He built them each a boat for their 5th birthday.
Right. That's a model for a fishing boat that he had built. There's about a dozen of those models around. I only have a couple of them.
I don't know if I can get back here. That's another model.
That's the Nordic.
This one is the Nordic. And that one is the Edna.
Edna.
And then the little boat in the front in that picture was one he built. That's McKay Harbor. Lots of relics live in this shop.
In this room is the engine for the M2. As I said, it's a dummy engine on it right now, but I have another Wright J5 here that I'm building for the M2 right now. Pretty simple engine actually. This is an interesting thing for people that don't know how radial engines work. This is the master rod. It goes on the crankshaft, and then all these link rods go in it, and a piston hooks to each one all the way around it. There's 9 of them. That's how that works.
And what's on the bench?
This is motorcycle stuff. These are all J5 cylinders back here to go on the M1. I've had them chromed back to standard. I've put new guides and new valve seats in them. A couple motorcycles I'm working on.
Your Magneto.
This is my Magneto Tester I made out of my wood lathe. Actually, you can watch it spark. When I rebuild a Magneto, I like to run it for an hour or so and let it get warm and make sure it keeps sparking and stuff. I built a recharger to recharge the magnets in them. That's about it. Thanks for watching.